All right, I think we're podcasting. It is Wednesday night. It is 7 o'clock. Click 7:01. And it is, as always, time for the South Carolina Normal Cannabis Conversation. Let's give it a minute or two. Let's let some folks kind of join in with us here while we try and make a little organization on the desk. And I think I'll jump ahead and get some cannabis questions out here. One, two, three. All right. All right. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. 7:01. Let's give it just a little, another minute or so. And while we are kind of doing that, oh, we got a comment already. Josh is here. Love talking about plants. Yeah. We'll be talking about a plant a bit tonight. I have some kind of interesting personal news to share. I don't know if it'll be amusing or not. I'm not sure if I'm amused or not anyway. Uh, It has to do with how I'm feeling and my diagnosis from the doctor. So stay tuned for that. I'll give you a little heads up in that in a little bit. I am feeling better. I am in the recovery phase right now. I've been able to keep a little bit of food and liquids down for about the past day, most of the day, something like that. It was a little rough going this morning, but things are looking up tonight. Definitely feeling a lot better than I was last Wednesday when I was on. Although being on for some reason makes me feel better. Being here chatting with y'all. All right, let me go ahead and kind of click the buttons. Let's see what we're doing. As always, let's kind of kick things off with our disclaimer that all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Also, at this time of the podcast, I usually like to remind y'all follow us on our social media. As you know, I probably post a lot more to Facebook, but I do try and keep things kind of active on the Instagram and shitter accounts, Twitter accounts, excuse me. Um, but the most important one really is to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell on our YouTube channel so that you can be reminded about these podcasts every Wednesday night and so that you can get a notification and to come and join us. Uh, Last but not least, don't forget to visit our website at scnormal.org. Go to the About drop down menu, follow that down. You can find our sponsors and support our sponsors because our sponsors help support what we do here, trying to reform marijuana laws in the state of South Carolina. Yeah, I know it sounds like an impossible task, but that's what we're trying to do. So that is what it is. All right. I think we've given it a couple of minutes here. We've got a few people who have joined us in the on the podcast here. Intro and agenda time. I don't have any real solid plan tonight. Again, I've been out of commission. Uh, Newsletter went out this morning. Our newsletter went out. I'm going to call it 9 days late. Pretty significantly late. Um, there happened to be an event on there that we had posted about that we never made it to. Um, but otherwise, I was a little glad that it waited till today because I actually made a quick update on there that we'll be talking about for our rally. There is a date change on the rally. So we'll be talking about that in a few minutes as well. And I think one of the things I'm going to hit on today, a new FBI crime data report came out for 2022 arrests. I was just looking at it a little bit before the podcast started, trying to get a little data from South Carolina specific. There's a pretty good interactive webpage that I'll be showing you for that as well. Um, so that's kind of what we're going to be doing tonight. But before we get too far into it, let's do it. Cannabis trivia question. All right, let's see. We got three of them out. One's from last week. I'll take last week's first. All right. Music category for the tonight's cannabis trivia question for our first one. Music category 40-point question. What Bob Dylan song was banned due to its marijuana references? Was it Everybody Must Get Stoned, Blowing in the Wind, or Rainy Day Woman number 12 and 35? Sounds rather specific. Music category. If you're a music fan out there, leave your guess in the comments. Music category 40-point question. What Bob Dylan song was banned due to its marijuana references? I didn't know this one. Everybody Must Get Stoned, Blowing in the Wind, or Rainy Day Woman number 12 and 35. As you know, our Canvas trivia questions are an opportunity for you to help support our efforts by sponsoring a trivia question. If you're a business and want to get your business mentioned, this would be a great way to do it. Reach out to us through our website at cnormal.org on the contact page. All right, let's hit you up with the answer right away. Get moving on to the conversation here. Music category. You have any guesses yet in the comments? Music category, 40-point question. What Bob Dylan song was banned due to its marijuana references? Everybody Must Get Stoned, Blowing in the Wind, or Rainy Day Woman number 12 and 35? And the answer is Rainy Day Woman number 12 and 35. I'm going to have to kind of set this to the side for a moment because later on I want to go to YouTube and listen to it and for the marijuana references. Coolio. All right. Well, that is our first cannabis question for the night. Boom, boom, boom. Let me turn this thing off if I can find it. There we go. All right. Oh, here's what I wanted to do. Let me go ahead and see if I can open this real quick. Preview. File open. There we go. Open. Boom. Now, let me go ahead and share this with you all. There we go. All right. I had to update our flyer for the cannabis support rally to be going on the steps of the South Carolina State House. I had planned and thought everything was in order, in line for us to be there on January 24th, the second Wednesday after the start of session. The session starts the second Tuesday of January. And before I got sick, I was getting a response back from the State House events planners, whatever, committee, whatever they are, the people that I put the request into. And I thought they were telling me I couldn't get the first floor lobby space for the press conference, but I didn't think that it had anything to affect our outdoor access because I hadn't actually gotten a response specifically about the outdoor front, North Grounds rally area. So I did a return email, waited like 2 days for a response, then a weekend came, and I was going to follow up that Monday. Well, the Monday it started with me getting rather under the weather, and so I did not respond right away. And I kind of thought, well, let me wait, and maybe they'll get back to me. When I was feeling better a little bit later, I went and sent them a new request for the same date, shifting all of our event outdoors. And that's when I got a pretty immediate response on that space was not available on the 24th until after 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So I sent back a quick email saying, is there any way I can find out about the Wednesday before on the 17th of January or the Wednesday after, which I believe is the 31st of January? And they pretty much quickly came back and said, yeah, it looks like we have the 17th available. I told them I would get the request in immediately, got the request in, and did get a confirmation back that they've received our request. It's being processed. At this point, it's not a guarantee that we have a space. And even if they do, like, assign us the space, state business takes precedent. So if something happened and the state wanted to kind of go, no, we're doing something there, kick them out, it could shut us down. Um, but we haven't seen that happen so far. And what I like about this actually is it moves us earlier, closer to the beginning of session. Um, Let me get my calendar in front of me here. I don't think I have it. January the 9th. January the 9th is the second Tuesday. It's the first day of session. So it will be the first day that any new business is going to be brought up. Um, when we did our first press conference, we actually did it in February. That put us weeks and weeks after the beginning of session. A lot happens in those first weeks. Um, I'm not exactly sure why we went 2 weeks out again this year. I thought 2 weeks wasn't bad last year. It was definitely better than putting it out in mid-February, which we had done our first year, um, because we want to get attention for these legislators and their legislation as early in the session so it could possibly get some sort of movement. So I think we actually fell into a good thing by having the date we originally picked not be approved. Um, Now we're 1 week after the start of session. We can actually, as we work up toward the rally and press conference, we can actually have, it doesn't give us a lot of time because until they actually start session, for us to make lobbying appointments for you all to go and talk to your legislator at the state house that day gives us a very limited number of days to nail them down from the. They won't talk to us. They don't talk to us. They won't schedule anything before session starts. And then, you've got, I don't think they're in on Fridays, just a couple of days to be working with them or their staff, should I say, and try and get um, actual scheduled appointments for you. So that's one thing we will do. We'll work our tail off those couple of days and try and get that happening. But here's what we're doing this year that we're hoping is going to be a little bit different than the past. Um, I need to kind of get some organization and maybe some help with organization. But the plan is to have the folks who want to meet with their legislators prepare their statement on paper so that if we're unable to actually schedule a meet and greet with their legislator, we can still go to the legislator's office and drop off their letter, their note, their statement um, to the legislator with any other information that we may need to provide. Um, and at least be able to talk to the secretary in the office or something for a couple of moments and drop something off personally. Um, we actually had a great time with that the past couple of years, just going to offices, and sometimes we were able to spur some conversation because many of them are like you'll have maybe four offices off of a central room where I guess they may share a secretary or something of that nature um, in some of the offices. And so we happened to walk into the office, maybe looking for one legislator, and they weren't there, but some of the others might have popped their head out the door and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And we had a couple of good conversations. Some I wish we had a little more time for. That's one thing I'm not really thrilled about. Uh, how rapid lobby day goes. Sometimes we really wish we could kind of slow it down and really take a little more time for some of those conversations. But it's a hectic day. It definitely is. All righty. There's some great news for me. Appreciate you, Josh. I talked to Shane today. I don't know if he was able to join us here on the podcast yet tonight or not. Um, but Shane Bush, who is a farmer with Bush's Little Green Acres, been very busy. Matter of fact, he shared some great news with me today that apparently he's been in the farming industry of hemp for, I think this is his fourth year, and he's just been approved to harvest his first harvest. I think he's had some issues with moisture and things like that in the past. So it's been a rough go, but we're thrilled to hear that news. We're really good, happy to hear that for him. But I talked to him today also about kind of working with us on that date. He is available to help us in any way possible. So, and I appreciate you letting me know that you can still help out on that day as well. I do want to meet up, still reach out to my buddy Bob, because I know he does have some resources to help promote around the USC area. So we'll see how that plays out. But yes, big news is the date change. A week earlier. I'm thrilled to hear that. Nancy's here. Howdy, Nancy. Thank you for joining us. Um, so yeah, don't forget, spread the word on this. And I don't know if y'all can read this on your screens. It's not real big. Um, I didn't need to just do what I just did. Push the button I shouldn't have. But we do try to have the day broken up a little bit. We did get our request in. So again, on the 17th, we are going to have kind of separate areas for the press conference and the rally. We'll do the press conference indoors. I personally like the indoor area because the legislators are walking through or right upstairs or not far away. And inclement weather is never any fun. So if we're inviting legislators to speak, I'm not going to ask them to pout in the rain. And that is our winter. I mean, I jokingly tell people since I've moved here to Charleston back in 2016 that I believe winter really falls about the third week of January in the low country here, or at least in the Charleston area. I know the upstate gets more winter than we do here, but I'm a little concerned about the weather that time of year. So I mean, some days are beautiful. I can't deny. But yeah, we don't want rain, wind, and stuff like that for the press conference portion of it. And then after we do that, first thing in the morning, timing on that is we have the lobby about 9 o'clock in the morning. We figure we should probably start the press conference at about 9:15, 9:30. We're hoping that we can have a whole bunch of you come on in like you have in the past, joining around behind us, holding up signs and showing solidarity. I am getting ready to start doing some of the invites. I'm sort of holding off until after the election on a couple, but making my list of legislators that have sponsored pro-marijuana legislation here in the state, and that's going to be my target list of speakers for the press conference. It's trying to shine some light on that legislation that they're hoping to move forward, and sharing the fact that a lot of support those kind of laws. Um, and then while we're kind of doing that outside or inside, we're hoping that we get the outdoor crew kind of getting the rally space set up for us. Once we have that on the north grounds, after the press conference, so I'm figuring about 10:30ish. I think I have it on here as 11 o'clock, but somewhere in there, things will start to kind of form. Around 11, we'll sort of make our opening ceremony kind of thing. I'm hoping to get a keynote speaker or two to come out and talk for maybe about a half an hour. And then we'll have a podium out there. Oh, the other thing I think next I had on that, we're going to have somebody come out, maybe me, talking about advocacy and lobbying info, and how to contact your legislators and let them hear your voice. After that, we're going to have basically an open mic. We want patients, we want caregivers, we want anybody who's ever been arrested for simple possession or had trouble with children's protective services just because of cannabis use. We want to hear your stories. Another good example here. One of the folks that we will be inviting will be Representative Tedder, who may at that time, depending on how the election goes, be Senator Tedder. I would hope as a senator he'll resubmit his smell bill, as we called it when we were on the program a couple of weeks back. And he's looking for stories, as in our vilified program we'll talk about in a moment here, telling stories about anybody who's been stopped and had police say, oh, I think I smell marijuana, and then searched and never found anything, or called in a dog and had them search and never found anything. They want those kind of stories. You don't have to have been arrested to come and tell us your story of these interactions you may have had with law enforcement over cannabis accusations, and that kind of thing. So that's going to, in my opinion, be a highlight of our lobby day is hearing your stories. Um, we really want you to come out. We want you to be present. We want you to be part of it, and we want to hear you. Um, I know, as the flyer shows, our kind of catch line on it. Nobody should be arrested for simple cannabis possession. That our rally and our focus is more on decriminalization of simple possession. So we may not get the support that we hope for from some of the other medical marijuana support organizations, because that's not the fight that they're on. Um, but that doesn't mean that if you're a patient or a caregiver that you can't come out to our rally and still tell us your stories, because we need to hear them and we need to share them with our legislators. Um, so there's that. That's going to be a big part of it. Entertainment, I don't know. I'm kind of leaving that up to DJ Josh and see if he can kind of give us some fill-in entertainment. I'm assuming some definitely good, cannabis tunes and that kind of thing. We are hoping to get a couple of booths off to the side for voter registration and activism information. Picking up your normal freedom card. Make sure that you know your rights. We'll hopefully have a little bit of merch there. So if you want to make a small donation and get yourself a pocket constitution or something like that, again, educate yourself, know your rights, protect yourself. Um, and we don't expect this to kind of go on all day. We have closing remarks kind of on schedule here at about 2:30 in the afternoon, with our cleanup and departure around 3. Um, and what we did the past year, I don't want to say the past two because I don't remember 2 years back. I don't Yeah, we did actually both years. We stopped some. Well, the first year I think it was just our board stopped and had a bite to eat. Second year we did an offsite networking kind of thing, social hour at where were we? Village Idiot Pizza. I think that's where we ended up. Village Idiot Pizza. Oh, excuse me. So we have not nailed down our offsite event space thing yet. And being a Wednesday, I have no idea what's going to happen as far as cannabis conversation that night. If I'm still up in Columbia till late, or I don't know. A whole lot of things just out in the open right now. They're up in the air right now. But thrilled to know that you're marking your calendars. And let me go ahead and turn this thing off. I'm sure you've seen it long enough. So let me change it off of my other screen. All right. Now, boy, I chatted an awful lot about that. That got us almost to the second candidate question. Give me 1 second while I wet my whistle. Hmm. And we're going from music to TV. Music to TV. All right, TV is the category. 50-point question on this cannabis question. What's my buttons here? Buttons. There you go. All right, second trivia question of the night. TV category. 50-point question. What Saturday Night Live alumni was kicked out of school for marijuana, then given an honorary degree at Regis University? Was it David Spade, Dana Carvey, Bill Murray, or Eddie Murphy? Leave your guess in the comment section if you have a clue or if you just want to guess. What Saturday Night Live alumni was kicked out of school for marijuana and then given an honorary degree at Regis University? Was it David Spade, Dana Carvey, Bill Murray, or Eddie Murphy? Let me go take a peek in the comment section, see if I'm seeing anything. Oh man, we're gonna have some entertainment according to Josh at our rally. Snoop Dogg's gonna be there. Maybe. Love it. It made me laugh. Thank you so much for that. All right. He was invited. All right. Make my day. All right. Let me get back to the question. I don't see any guesses in there, so we'll give you the answer right away. I'm so easily amused tonight. It must be the delirium. What Saturday Night Live alumni was kicked out of school for marijuana and then given an honorary degree from Regis University? The answer is Bill Murray, a, I guess, transplant to Charleston, South Carolina. Bill Murray. Matter of fact, Rutledge Cab Company, Monday night burger night. I just noticed the other day. I got to get down there. They look like a pretty good burger. Only like 8.95 with fries on a Monday night. That's one of Bill Murray's places, Rutledge Cab Company. All righty. That was our second question of the night. Thank you, Bill. Now you got me hungry for a burger. Uh, all right. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Oh, before I get into like the FDBI crime data, I did make a mention, and now I'm going to see if I can find it again, about our vilified story series that let's quit. Stop. I'm hitting wrong buttons tonight. All right. See if I can find recently opened. Heck no. All right. Let me look here. Oh, okay. Sorry about this, folks. I got a little sidetracked. Podcast vilified. Vilified logo. All right. Let me bring this up again real quick. Do, 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 do. Turn off the banner. Okay. Um, that's not quite the banner I was looking, or the one I was looking for. But we are collecting stories again for our vilified series, or we just started, should I say, collecting them. Uh, there's the one I was looking for. Now let's switch it so you can see the other one. All right. Tell us your story, vilified stories from victims of America's drug war. I touched base on it a moment ago when we were talking about looking for folks to come out and speak during our rally. Um, this is a separate program from that kind of concept, but what we want to do is, besides putting on our weekly conversation of just talking about cannabis and what's going on in South Carolina and or the world with cannabis, we want to start telling your stories and sharing your stories. Have you ever had problems with law enforcement in South Carolina? Have you ever had a simple marijuana possession arrest? We're collecting stories on 3 different levels right now. They are, as I mentioned earlier, the smell bill. Have you ever been stopped by law enforcement? They claim to smell something and held you and searched you, and then nothing was ever found. No charges were ever filed. We want to hear those stories. We want to hear what we feel are civil rights violations. Police taking advantage of the, you know, oh, I smell something when they can't prove they smell anything or not. It's a way of them getting around, a tool for them to get around your Fourth Amendment right to, um, not to consent to unlawful searches and seizures. And now all of a sudden they go, oh well, I suspect you have a crime now because I smell marijuana. Whether they do, they don't. Um, According to Rep. Tedder and his law practice, he believes that it's about 90% of the time nothing is found. Um, we know with drug sniffing dogs, it's at least 75% of the time that nothing's found when they indicate there's something should be there. And those are newer numbers. I think the older numbers were higher, closer to 80%. But those are some newer numbers I just recently read, about 75% with the drug sniffing dogs. But again, with an officer claiming it, even less. You know, like 90% of the time, nothing's found. So we want to know those stories. We want to know these what would be the right word for it? Unlawful searches. We want to know more about them because that's what we believe they are. The secondary stories that we're looking for, or the second grouping of stories, is simple cannabis possession arrest. Nothing more, nothing less. We're not looking like simple possession was one of the charges amongst your, you know, you were found with simple possession during an armed robbery, and so no, we're looking for simple possession arrest only. Not that they tack that on along with your armed robbery charge or something like that. So those are stories we want to hear because that's what our fight really right now is about: protecting people from the harms that come from a simple cannabis possession arrest. And so we want to be able to share the stories of what those harms are, what the consequences were. I mean, you guys know me. I truly believe that the harms from being caught with cannabis are far greater than any harms that are caused by cannabis. And I can't say there are no harms because now I'm going to tell you my little story here for a second. I told you earlier in the program I was going to have some what I thought was amusing news. So I was sick this past week, and finally on Monday I took myself into the emergency room at MUSC Hospital here in Charleston, South Carolina, and the doctor diagnosed me with cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. I'm not sure of the proper pronunciation. I think I used to call it hyperemesis, but I was listening to them in the hospital and they were saying I think it was more like emesis and then hyperemesis. But that syndrome that you hear about where people are like doing these huge dabs and then going to the emergency room in like Colorado and stuff like that because uh, you know they're vomiting or what they were calling scromiting, screaming and vomiting at the same time, and that they had to be like taking hot showers and stuff because they just couldn't control it. Yeah, that I don't know how much I agree with it, but yeah, I'm not the doctor here. I got a diagnosis. I find it rather amusing and disheartening all at the same time. So, um, you know, and really, I was doing a little bit of research into it today. Not much. I read a couple of sentences. You know, many say quit completely. The doctor actually said switch to CBD hemp strains or find a different strain or maybe gummies or yeah, they're just kind of suggesting maybe other lower THC cannabis options. I find it interesting because this is my first bout in 2 years and 5 months, almost 2.5 years since I had one of these in the week-long version that this one was. Uh, and I'm kind of wondering if some of that didn't have to do with last year and a half ago when I quit for 90 days so I could pee in a cup for a job and may have just lowered my overall levels that it took that long for them to kind of finally build back up again to where I need to kind of start reducing levels again or something like that. I don't know. Um, I'm not seeing any comments about it, but I mean, I gotta say, I was kind of when they first mentioned it, like a couple years ago. Have you ever heard of it? It's like, yes, I've heard of it. Blah blah blah. Well, this one just came right out and said, "No, that's your diagnosis. Yeah, you've got all the symptoms." I'm like, oh shit. So, but anyway, back to vilified. Um, spread the word. I've got to start working on, like I say, some organization to get it out there that we are looking for these stories. And then the third version of the stories that we're looking for right now um, is stories of issues with child protective services. Where you, for some reason, a young parent, I the calls I've quite often got, young mothers tested positive because they had gone to the local CBD shop and gotten some hemp flower or something like that, tested positive for, cannabinoids. And next thing you know, they're being charged with child negligence or child abuse or child endangerment or, I mean, child abuse if they're pregnant. If the child's already been born, then it's usually neglect or endangerment. I mean, endangerment, not so much neglect. Um, but they're getting crimes filed against them for going to the hemp shop. Drives me crazy the way this state, especially, um, criminalizes such behavior. Anyway, that's my rant on that one. We are, and I still haven't done it. I know I said I would, but sickness got in the way. I do want to start telling the stories of businesses that are getting harassed by law enforcement, having their shops raided for selling what has been legal under the 2018 Farm Bill, um, being demonized for using the word cannabis. It's a freaking word, and it's like, yeah, you can't use the plant name. That's totally ridiculousness. Paranoia of the elite. Ugh, excuse me. Anyway, there's my rant. There's my rant. All right, let me go over and click to this other thing here. Turn this off. Boom. Turn this on. I don't know what I want to do here. I'm going to go over here. Switch this. All right. I am on the FBI Bureau of Investigation Crime Data Explorer. I'm going to go ahead and share a link for you in the chat here. Give me a second. And here it comes. As you can see right now, I'm kind of just focused in on South Carolina because that's kind of where I was going. Before I got there, let me see if I can go back. I'll do it this way then, if they're not going to play with me. All right, when you first log on, you're going to, or go to that link. Here's where you're going to get the Federal Bureau of Investigation Crime Data Explorer, Explorer page filters. Right now it's set for national. Oh, that's probably why I did it. Yeah, it was set for state. And this is an interactive map right here. So basically what, now that I'm looking at it, what I had done is I was looking at this in national mode, and then I came over and I put my little pointer on the state of South Carolina and I clicked it, and it's changed the mode. That's why there was no back button. And this takes us to the arrest data for the state as derived from the National Incident-Based Reporting System, or what they call NIBRS, NIBRS, reports voluntary submitted to the FBI. The 2022 arrest statistics for South Carolina are based on data received from 462 of the 503 participating law enforcement agents in the state that year, which means that 41 agencies did not participate. What's my math on that? About 9%, 8, 9% didn't participate. Anyway, a lot of good stuff here. if you're interested in it. But what I'm kind of looking at here first, all arrests by offense, drug abuse violations, grand total 28,181. If you go over to arrest for drug possession offenses, drug possession subtotal 22,355. Marijuana possession 11,122. Now, what actually brought me to this today, see if I can switch back to this other report, was this one's on HuffPost. Um, a report came out that at least 250,000, it's actually 227,000 people were arrested for weed last year, the FBI says, which is legal, fully legal in 23 states. So of those 250,000 people, they were not arrested, most probably in a legal state, um, but one of either the medical state or one of the prohibition states. Um, so yeah, as we come down here a little bit, 227,108 arrests for weed-related offenses last year. Of those arrests, 92% were related to possession charges. Okay, 92%, at least on a national level here, possession charges. Now, I don't know if it breaks that down per state on all these. FBI crime data is notoriously unreliable, which when I was talking about the ones that reported and ones that didn't report. So it's notoriously unreliable. For the past 20 years, about 15 to 30% of law enforcement agencies do not report complete data to the FBI. So you can't get real good data if the law enforcement refuses to report the data. There are well documented instances of police initially manipulating crime data and accidentally just miscounting instances of certain offenses. Moreover, some of the raw data provided by the FBI is downloaded zip files, contradicts data published elsewhere on the site, and the National Organization of Reform for Marijuana Laws said in a statement. So, nonetheless, even from the incomplete data set, it remains clear that marijuana seizures and prosecutions remain a primary drive in the drug war enforcement in the United States. Now, that's from Paul Armentano, the Deputy Director of NORML. Hundreds of thousands of Americans continue to be arrested annually for these violations, even though a majority of voters say no longer that a majority of voters no longer believe that the responsible use of marijuana by adults should be a crime. And that's exactly what we're trying to say. I mean, even here in South Carolina, we only want to make it simple possession. It should be possession of however much you want, in my opinion. So I talk quite often about the wine connoisseurs who have their wine collection, their wine cellars, and I'm sure you have other type of alcohol collectors. They collect their rare scotches. Oh my God, scotch! I can't stand this stuff. But my mother was always a fan of scotch, and high end scotch. I mean, geez, blah blah blah. So to say, well, because you have a closet full of wine or a cellar full of wine, you're a wine dealer is preposterous because they're collectors. Why can't there be a cannabis collector? Okay, maybe they collect an ounce of each. Well, you collect enough different eaches, and you're going to have pounds. And it shouldn't be illegal to have pounds, whereas it shouldn't be illegal to have simple possession. Um, if it's for your own personal consumption or to buy, barter, and trade, who knows? Like people do with wine. People save their wines for years and then sell them at a profit. Anyway, I'm kind of ranting now a little bit, but um, so where was I here? Um, yeah, voters no longer believe that a responsible use of marijuana should be a crime. Weed possession and use by adults is legal in 23 states and the District of Columbia. Ohio voters are set to decide on whether to legalize cannabis in November in like 3 weeks. Chances are real good. It's gonna pass in Ohio. Last year, President Biden pardoned every person convicted of simple marijuana possession under federal law. Um, I didn't even think there was federal law that could affect simple possession, but anyway. It was an effort at acknowledging the inequity of some people's face, facing life-ruining consequences for using a drug that is now legal in much of the country. So, although symbolically significant, Biden's pardon did not apply to most people with weed convictions. That's what I was looking for. Okay, next paragraph down. Yeah, didn't apply to most people. And even on the federal level, Biden only pardoned those with simple possession convictions. Those with charges related to selling or distributing weed, which account for an overwhelmingly majority of people with federal cannabis convictions, are now eligible for pardons. Yeah, that sounded kind of fishy to me because simple possession I didn't think was a federal, unless maybe in DC it was. Um, that would explain that. So in total, the White House estimates that roughly 65,000 people convicted under federal law, as well as those convicted under DC law, would receive pardons. Yep, that's where it was, in federal law and DC law. All right, so when we go back to South Carolina, marijuana, 11,142 marijuana possession arrests. That number to me is a little lower than I've seen in the past. I've seen, I believe it was 2014, 15, 16 was somewhere around 15,000 in those years. I believe in 2020 it spiked up to about 34,000. Most of those being simple possession arrests. And it looks either like there's not a lot of accurate reporting or the numbers dropped down again in 2022. I mean, we have talked a couple of times on the program about how back in, I believe it was uh, December of 2020, the city of Charleston de-emphasized simple cannabis possession arrest because they had, I think it was a 600 or 800 bed prison with right, 3 times the amount of prisoners that were allowed to be in there. And so the way to get it under control, stop arresting people for simple cannabis possessions. Boom. They had their numbers back in range in no time. Um, it's a money game for them, but still, nobody should be arrested for simple cannabis possession, especially in this day and age where you've got 23 states fully legalized, 30, help me out here, 38 states with medical. Um, and Ohio come around the border, come around the bend in another week or so. And South Carolina legislators, most of them anyway, digging their heels in and sticking to their old timey good old boy ways. So, um, anyway, I'm not going to go ahead and go over all this data with you tonight. I just thought I'd show it to you, give you the link, let you go and kind of poke and prod around in it. Um, that again, I'm just saying is simple possession. I didn't break this down into other. I think it does go in here. We've got drug sales, marijuana, 1,300 sales arrests reported in 2022. The numbers seem relatively low. It's surprising. I mean, although the 11,000 is still much higher than I'd like to see at all, because I don't think anybody should be arrested for simple cannabis possession. Um, but it just seems like they're spending an awful lot of money to pick up not a whole lot of real crime. There's no crime going on there with cannabis. Excuse me, folks. Um, all right. Any questions, comments, or thoughts on crime data reports at the moment? Let me see what's going on over here in comments. I see nothing at the moment. So I think what I'm going to do is wrap it up with one more cannabis question and then kind of do our closeout. Let me see here. Banners. Cannabis question. Oh, let me go ahead and turn off shared screen again. Last one of the night. And then I'm going to go listen to Rainy Day Woman. Uh, Last cannabis question of the night, 40-point question, a culture category, 40-point question. In certain parts of Africa, marijuana is called which of the following? Daga, Lolo, or Sagra? Culture category, 40-point question. In certain parts of Africa, marijuana is called which of the following? Daga, Lolo, or Sagra? Got a guess? Leave in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to sponsor a cannabis question, reach out to me on our contact page on our website, scnormal.org. All right, let's go ahead and get right into the answer here. I didn't know this one either, although I haven't been in Africa. Culture question, 40 points. In certain parts of Africa, marijuana is called which of the following? Daga, Lolo, or Sagra? And the answer is Daga. Did not know that one. I didn't know a bunch tonight. Didn't know Rainy Day Woman. Didn't know Bill. Well, no, I'm not even sure if I knew the Bill Murray question answered. I don't think I previously knew that, especially about Regis University. Anyway, that's it for cannabis questions tonight. Don't forget to go out and listen to Rainy Day Woman on YouTube if you want to hear the marijuana references. I don't remember any in there, but I'm going to listen. And where are we at? 7:52. I'm going to wrap it up. Don't forget, mark your calendars. I know some of you already have for our rally, January 17th. Cross your fingers that nothing else screws up our date this time. Cross your fingers for great weather that day. Spread the word. I do have this flyer that if somebody wants me to send them a printable version of it, I can send that out to you. Share it on your social media, anywhere that you might think you can find some other support, and let's get a real rally going. This I think I've said it a number of times. I'll say it one more time tonight. Um, this was sort of a challenge I took, or I took it as a challenge. Let me rephrase. I took it as a challenge. When somebody would say, tag us on Twitter and saying, this is the kind of support we need here in South Carolina. And I agree with them. It's the kind of support we need. And I'm counting on you all to come on out and help us support and spread the word and be proud of who you are. Be proud of being a cannabis consumer. And let your legislators know we're sick and tired of them treating us like second class citizens. We're criminals just because we prefer something that they don't. You know, people have different tastes. I think we had a president who didn't like broccoli. They didn't make it freaking illegal. Um, you don't like my plant. Wah. Anyway, that's my half-ass response to that tonight. Don't forget, follow us on social media. You can usually contact me through either our Facebook, but the best way to do it is through the contact page on our website. Um, if you are interested in doing anything or have any ability to help us in organizing the rally or helping to spread the word, let me know. We need to get the word out there. We need to get a huge response this year. Uh, I'm asked how many people I'm expecting it. This thing when I'm filling out the request form, and I told them I'm expecting like 75 people indoors and 175 outdoors. We haven't hit close to 75 indoors yet. So, I mean, we might have done 25 or 30, but we'll see. We'll see. We're gonna push. We're gonna try and push the envelope. We want a big crowd behind the speakers at the podium this year. We want a big crowd outside on the steps, and we want a big crowd out there by the street, letting the freaking people driving by know why we're there. So we want to make it and we want Henry McMaster to know that we're there. We want it. We want him to know. We want the legislators to know we're there. We don't want them to go, oh yeah, there's a half a dozen stoners out front. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, we want a crowd. We want people that are finally pissed off enough to come out and put their foot down and say, stop arresting people for simple cannabis possession. Legalize for medical use. Stop making criminals out of otherwise law-abiding citizens. Ugh, ugh, ugh. I mean, I'll tell you, as a cannabis consumer, I'm a little bit paranoid about being pulled over. So I drive much safer than I think most people do. I don't really go over the speed limit. Why give them an excuse? I don't want to give them an excuse to come up and go, I smell something, or whatever damn bullshit they want to pull. So, come out pissed off, but come out January 17th, 2024, South Carolina State House steps. Let's have a rally. That's it for me tonight, folks. I love that you came out and joined me for a while. I will be back again next Wednesday and hopefully be looking a little bit fresher than I do right now. Not that y'all care what I look like, but I will be back in again for a Wednesday conversation. I'm trying to reach out to the candidate running against Nancy Mace, Mac DeFord. Um, I've got an invite out to him to come and join us on the program. He wasn't able to join us tonight. I'm hoping I can get him in for next week, but I don't know. So I'm still kind of working on that. Um, and otherwise, that's it for me tonight. See you back here again next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Bye now.